Hey, what's happening, people? This is Jason, and this is my guest today, Jeff Halsico. Halisco. I'm gonna pronounce it right. So Jeff is the leader and songwriter for Mood. They're a local band down here in Jacksonville, and we're here in his studio. Jeff does a lot of different stuff, very entrepreneurial, and he was showing me around his house. I'm gonna try to put some clips of that in later. So, let's go ahead and get started. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and thanks for coming to Within Studios and having a chat with me. And I usually interview people, so it's nice to get interviewed. I get to be on the other side of the coin.
Yeah. So what are your interviews usually like? Who do you try to go after?
Usually local artists that are doing original material. I like to have them play a song and then interview them, their life, and how they got to where they're at, and what advice they give to upcoming artists, and kind of let them tell the story, and then they play another song, and we're done.
Okay, I gotcha. And so what's your background? Like, how long have you been playing music for?
I've been doing music since probably about 15 years old. Piano and guitar, and started singing about in my 20s. And my father and grandfather both played instruments, and they played in bands and did their thing. And my son plays an Outer Edge, and he's also a great musician.
What's your favorite instrument to play?
Probably the guitar. I write a lot of songs. I write a lot of songs on piano.
Yeah.
But I think acoustic guitar is probably the easiest because I can go to the park or the beach and write a song. Can't really drag a piano to do that, but
no, you can't do. You can bring like a little keyboard or something like that, I guess, right?
Yeah, power. Yeah, just guitar is so easy. But I do take songs that I write on guitar and transpose them to piano.
Yeah.
Because piano's got a very interesting voicing, the way it's set up. Yeah, it's nice, and the pitch is always perfect too.
Can you hit 8 keys separate? Is your hands big enough?
Yeah.
Do you have that ability?
I can do octaves. Yes.
Wait, what is it called?
Octaves.
Octaves. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, how's an octave work exactly?
They're A B C D E F G, A B C D E F G. So it just starts over. So you just hit A to G or C, C D E F G A B, and then it repeats every note, every 8 notes or 12 if you consider the sharps and flats.
Okay. So you can do that. And then what's your favorite guitar to play? Like, who's the best manufacturer?
I had
Are you a Gibson guy? Or
not too much. I like Fenders better for electric. Acoustic Taylors are nice. A lot of my stuff is just custom. I like to have unique things, so I don't want to buy a really $2,000-$3,000 guitar and paint it or put woodwork on it like I do a lot of my instruments. They're custom. I design them and do stuff like that. So
nice.
I like to be a little different.
I gotcha. Not a lot of artists know how to do that. They don't know how to design them, or they just have somebody else do it.
A lot of artists play really nice guitars, and nobody wants to, deface a really nice $2,000 guitar. So like I have the guitar my father gave me 30 years ago. It's a nice Yamaha.
Yeah.
But I drew on it, and I did woodworking with the wood burner, and this one
here
it's got paint on it. So nobody really wants to take a $3,000 guitar and paint their name on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you did it.
Well, it's not a $3,000 guitar.
You did
But
it.
see, I like Fender, and this is another custom guitar. I did put some glitter on it, and this kind of thing, and kind of do my own thing. And I like to design a lot. And
Yeah.
part of my creativity is visual design.
Okay. So when you got started out playing music, what was your big motivator? Because probably you could have gone surfing at the beach, you could have gone to the skate park, chasing girls.
Well, I grew up in Michigan
Yeah.
until I was like 22 years old, and so we didn't have surfing, but we did have the Great Lakes, which is nice. I wasn't very good at scholastics. My brother was on the honor roll all the time, and so we were like a year apart, and I just really couldn't compete on his level with his scholastic ability. So
Yeah. Got to live in his shadow a little bit.
he was really good at sports, and I wasn't good at sports. So I'm like, the only thing I could do that he doesn't do is music. So I picked up music, which, like I said, my father and grandfather did, and then I found out I could be pretty popular, and I guess the girls liked it in high school, so it was nice too.
Oh yeah, man, you can serenade them.
I think all musicians get involved in music, to perform, because that, is the girls
And-
initially.
And if you're one of the band geeks out there that's listening to this, you don't need to have game or anything like that. You can just play a song for a girl or something like that and just melt her. That's all you have to do. So
That's my ex-wife said that's what she said. She fell in love with my voice, and
oh yeah.
that was all she wrote.
Ooh, that's a stab right there. Yeah. You were divorced, how long has it been now?
It's been about 11 years.
11 years?
Yeah.
11 years? Man, I guess, after you got divorced, when you started dating again, like the game had changed a little bit, right? Because you're married for how long?
Yeah, I don't really know how to date. I don't think I've asked a woman out on a date in probably 30 years. I don't really know how to do that.
Yeah, that's a tough one when you get out of it for so long. Because I got lots of friends. They've been married for say 10 years or something like that. It's like their wife doesn't have to worry about them because they got no game. They don't know anything relevant that's going on in the world.
True.
Yeah, nothing relevant going on.
Well, back in the days, I think in the 80s when I played out a lot in Orlando and we did a little stint in LA and played at the Whiskey.
Yeah. How many bands were you
girls-
in?
About 10. I also sang a couple years in a Crescendo Amelia big band. It was a 22-piece orchestra. And
Yeah.
did more like Bublé and Sinatra stuff. But back in the days when we had long hair in the 80s, girls would come to you and they'd follow you, so you never had to ask them out because they were always there. And now girls really don't like, the rock and roll scene. They're more the DJs and the new electronic music. So musicians don't have the clout that they used to. I mean, the songwriter, you can still sing and be cool, but the bands and, the long hair is kind of out. Girls don't like the long hair anymore. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it's bound to come back just like anything else. You can wear your jean jacket again. That's coming back, and so is jean shorts. Well, did you ever have, like, with all your bands you're in, was there any type of disputes or breakup or anything like that? Did you ever?
Always. When you have
Those are tough. Bands are tough. Like, what goes on behind the scenes, aren't they?
I've probably been in about 10 or 12 bands, and only like 2 of them did I really original bands that I enjoyed. One was called Within, and we wrote a lot of stuff in the 90s, and it was very spiritual and earthy. And then the band Lick, which is the one that traveled to Hollywood.
Yeah.
We did some videos, but we were when I was in our 20s, so we were very young, but it was a brotherhood. So you connected and you practiced. Nobody paid anybody, but you practiced 4 or 5 nights a week on putting 20, 30 hours in without a paycheck.
Yeah.
There was brotherhood there, and so you got connected, and it's an interesting situation to be in a band. It's kind of like being on a sports team, and
Yeah.
you have to have you pick a lane of what you're doing in the band, and you complement each other, and there's a lot of friendships there. We used to all go up together and promote the band, and
Yeah.
so when it breaks up, it's kind of like a girlfriend because you got emotional bonds with these people that you spend a lot of time with, and trying to replace them is really difficult. It's like a lot of the famous bands,
Yeah.
Van Halen, they'll go through singers and stuff, and it's just even the fans realize that they like the original band, like together.
Sammy Hagar was no substitute for Eddie Van
neither
Halen.
did Rob. So in one of those things, it's it's a very brotherhood connection. So it can be tough if you're in a cover band. It's different because you're there to practice and go out and get gigs and make money. But in a band where you're writing music together,
Yeah.
you're like you're having babies. When you write a song and he writes his part, you write your part, and you all come together and you spend maybe 20 hours together writing that song.
Yeah.
It develops. That's something you couldn't write about his personality.
And it's not like having homework where it's like somebody's grading it. Like your fans grade it, right? The people that are listening grade it.
They
And
come to see you at the show, or
yeah. So let's say that we got somebody watching. They're in high school or college or something like that. Let's say they come from like a well-to-do family, and their parents want them to get some kind of prestigious career, like like in the medical field or an engineer or something.
That would be
like
Ivan Pulley.
Wait, who is Ivan Pulley?
Ivan Pulley. He is a 23-year-old artist in town, plays every instrument. He's amazing, singer-songwriter. I recorded his first acoustic kind of album here about 5 or 7 years ago. He also played in Outer Edge, and so we've been friends since he's been 12 years old. But his dad is a surgeon.
Neurosurgeon.
And
That's a tough
there's a
one.
lot of wealth in the family, and and I know the family and we talk, and
Yeah.
I'm the guy that pushes the live your dream, and they push the go to school.
Oh man.
So he's getting kind of a
So you're a bad influence on him then.
yeah, kind of. I'm his rock and roll dad.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So like, what what would you say to somebody? Let's say that you got somebody that's really, somebody that's really smart. They can get good grades. They can get, 4.0 GPA, no problem, and all the doors are open. They can get a scholarship. Their parents will give them a full ride, but they say, "No, I want to go play music." Is that a smart idea or a bad idea?
Well,
From what you've seen.
I think it can be smart and it can be bad depending on if you have a passion for it and you eat, live, and sleep it like I did. I've always had a guitar. I spent a lot of time playing
Yeah.
instruments and singing, writing over 250 songs. So I put a lot of time into it, and it became my life. And if you're the person that it defines you, like you weren't anybody. When you picked up your instrument, you realized that this is me. Defines me, and I'm really good at this. And
Yeah.
and people come up to me all the time and say, "Oh, you're a good singer. You're a guitar player. I love your songs." That kind of feels good.
Yeah.
Where going to being a banker or a doctor, you're making people well too. But there's if that's not really your passion, you're just doing it to make money. You're living your life to please somebody else. So
Yeah.
I would say that, and this is something that's very important. I think that a lot of parents might need to know that if their kids want to go be an artist of some sort, is that consider that if you go to school to be a doctor, you got 12 years of working for free, going to school, spending a lot of money and not making any money for 12 years. I guarantee that if you were a painter or a musician and you spent $300,000 on your career and 12 years of not getting a paycheck, 8 hours a day, you'd be somewhere pretty amazing in your life if that was your passion.
Yeah.
But the problem is with most artists these days, they want to, put 5 or 10 hours a week in their trade, and they want to be rock stars, because nowadays it's pretty much more about being a social media entity than it is being a great musician, because
Yeah.
you don't even need to be a musician. You can just get, some software and maybe GarageBand, get some loops, and just rap over it. And in 6 months, you can be huge.
Yeah.
Where back in the days in the 70s, you had to learn how to sing and play your instrument for 5, 6, 7 years and actually do a trade.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different these days, and social media has made it to where you can be an entity just
Yeah.
by being popular, and the music comes, and the talent of that comes second.
Well, we all know in the music industry, like the money comes first because that's the music executives, right? And then the art comes second. That's why you've got millions of underground, musicians probably, right? And you can find their stuff on Spotify or, YouTube channels or something like that. But they will never get recognized by, they'll never get recognized by like a major recording label. Why is that?
Well, most of all because they don't like to think out of the box. It takes too long. Back in the day, they would develop bands, like in the 70s and 60s. They would find talent, and they'd invest their time in the recording
The
studio.
executives or the
record
artists?
companies.
Yeah.
The record companies would invest in the time developing these artists because they had something to say, and it was good. So it was about money, but it was also about art. And nowadays, they've realized that why should they do that? There's so many people out there. If you're good, we'll find you. And we already want a product that's developed. We don't want to spend any money on development. So if we like you and you're popular, that's the first thing a record company does, is they will go on they don't really care how good you are. They will go on your social media, on your Facebook and your Twitter and your Instagram, and see how many followers you got, because that's all they're interested pretty much is in how much money you're going to make for them, because they're about the bottom line, and it's sad. So, but it's amazing now that we, the artists, have opportunities to get with Facebook and Instagram and social media to take a camera like this and be all over the world for free. All you have to have is the internet and your iPhone or your smartphone or your GoPro, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And so but that takes off the, hey, you can't make an excuse like, well, I'm not successful because I can't afford to go in the recording studio. You can put your phone down and play acoustic guitar live or just re-record something, and let the people decide if they like you or not.
Yeah.
But it's a double-edged sword, because artists want to be rock stars, and they want a record company to do all the work for them, because you can spend 40, 50 hours a week branding and marketing yourself and doing videos and getting with your artists and doing live stuff. And to
It's a
where,
lot.
and back in the days, the record company would take care of all that stuff, and you would just, which gave you time to free you up to write songs and worry about your fan base and getting popular. So
So what's wrong? So why, how are the record companies even still in existence? It sounds like they're obsolete at this point.
they are and they're not. There's still a lot of people because you still have radio in your, in your car. So
Yeah.
you're still gonna have radio stations. And still, till radio stations are obsolete.
Hmm.
You're gonna have record companies, but they're pretty much following whatever. Okay, you got a country station, so what are your country artists? And you got a rock station, and then a classic rock, which is obviously music that's been done, 20, 30 years ago. But anything that's new, that's current, they'll pick a genre, and it's like, okay, and you kind of have to follow that mold because they need to know what radio station they're gonna put you on. It's because they don't really think out of the box, and that's why you can go to like Pandora or these stations and get a lot of underground artists for free. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are starting to do that, so they've lost a lot of their clout with record labels to get, I mean, back in the day, Britney Spears was pulling in, maybe selling 10 to 50,000 units a week, a month.
Oh
you
yeah.
know? And now they'd be lucky
Going
to
triple
sell.
platinum.
Yeah, they'd be
and
lucky
diamond.
to sell $500,000.
Yeah.
I mean, 500,000 units these days because people really don't even buy CDs anymore. They'll do the
Yeah.
downloads, and because they don't have to buy the whole album, they'll just download the song they want. So it's kind of like fast food music, I call it, like, where you can go to McDonald's and just order a hamburger instead of going to a restaurant. So if you want to just like this artist for one song and they're a flash in the pan and they're gone in a month or a year,
Yeah.
and then they'll find somebody else. So back in the days, you followed like the Stones or the Beatles or Led Zeppelin. You had a band or the Who and Styx or Kiss. You would buy their albums because you open it up and you become a fan. You liked that maybe there was lyrics or pictures of the band, and they had a fan club that you could go and sign in and maybe get a letter back or something, and you'd follow them around and you'd go to their shows and ask for autographs, and so there would be kind of loyalty to the bands that you did. But nowadays,
Yeah.
like I said, they'll listen to one song and never hear the band again. And
You're just a username at that point, or you're just username and hey, just downloaded this song and then that's it. And then
hashtag.
yeah, there you go. That's it. I gotcha. So what? So we still have. There's still concerts. You play. You'll do solo routines around town. What's the element there? What's important about the human element in you playing live music when we can just have a radio playing music? You as a performer, what do you add to the atmosphere?
What I learned over the years, when people would come up to me and say, "Oh, I like your voice," I would just be really critical of myself all the time. A lot of artists are, they always pick out what they did wrong that night instead of what they did right, just so they can perfect their situation. And over the period of time, I was like, what do they really mean because I'm like, my voice is great or whatever, or you sounded great, I love your songs. I think what I came down to is that I'd always perform with a lot of passion. And just the other night, somebody came up and said, I really like your playing because you put a lot of passion into it. And I think that that's what separates a lot of artists. You can be technically good, a perfect singer, but if you're not putting your soul into it, or you're not being a little bit different and you're not giving yourself 100%, I think people notice that. They'll notice that, oh, you're a good guitar player, but you're going through the emotions. And that's why
they can pick up on that.
Well, yeah, well, I think most of the greatest artists, the legends, especially in rock and roll, you got, Tom Petty. We talk about Tom Petty. He doesn't have the greatest voice, but he put his passion. He wrote great songs. Mick Jagger didn't really have a great voice, but he was so passionate. He was that peacock, and he yelled, and he was just flamboyant and out there. And I think art is subjective, and it should, stimulate evoke some kind of passion or feeling or emotion.
Yeah.
So when you're performing, if you're giving your all, you don't have to be perfect. I know a lot of artists that, they're not perfect, but they're so passionate that, they really come across to the people. And I think that people are more forgiving than the artists are on themselves. So
yeah.
I would say passion, because DJs have come along in the last 20 years and, taken away, 50% of our fan base because, people like to, girls like to dance, and they can hear their popular things. So I think that what we bring to the table is if you're artistic, versus if you hear a DJ, you're hearing something you can hear on the radio. You can go to anywhere at home or listen to your phone. You can hear the same thing the DJ's playing.
Yeah.
As an artist, when you go to them, especially if they're their own spin on it, a lot of artists in this town, even though they're doing covers, they're putting their own spin on it. Whether it's they change the key or they make it islandy or reggae or country, whatever. They can take a song and put their own spin on it if they do acoustic or with the band, and so you're getting to see somebody's soul, and you're getting to see something different that you don't get when you're listening to your iPhone, just downloading songs that are pre-recorded. So, and there's always that element of live, which I like to, when I play by myself acoustic guitar, I try to reach the audience a lot. I'll pick up somebody or people in there and I'll ad-lib lyrics on the spot, or they have drinking with you, or I'll change the lyrics to see somebody in the audience and try to bring them in so that they're part of the evening, and I connect with them, and so I'm always talking to the audience, and that's something too that you don't get. So there's an interaction; they get to be a part of the evening.
Okay, that's cool. Speak about interaction also. Have you ever done this for somebody where they write like maybe a poem or something that looks like song lyrics, and they just want to hear what it sounds like? Have you ever made up a song like that?
Not live, but people have come to the studio and they have something they want to say, which I really like. As a songwriter myself, I really like to produce and help out songwriters that are kind of stuck. They got something they want to say, an idea, or they got lyrics, or maybe they don't play an instrument, and since I play piano guitar, I can help write music over their lyrics. And if they don't sing, I can sing or have singers. I've got girls and guys singers, and I have tons of musicians that I know that I've played with that will come in, horn players, saxophone, trumpet, that can play if they're looking for something a little bit more produced, or they just want it to be simple as a piano and a vocal, or a piano and a guitar, or anything, and then they can just write that, because we usually record on a click track.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, they can put, instead of re-recording the whole thing, they can put a bass or keyboards. Oh, I was hearing this. Then they can slowly add to have a version that's acoustic to a version that's fully produced.
Okay.
But yeah, to answer your question, a lot of people that I used to trade favors when I was renovating the house. I need a plumber. And so a lot of musicians also do construction. So
right.
Playing a lot of musicians because
if they haven't made it, they gotta have something that pays the bills.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So they would come over and do some things around the house, and and then I'd give them a rehearsal space, because I have a rehearsal. Anybody out there looking for your band for rehearsal, I have rehearsal space, and
there you go.
And do that too, because it's sometimes it's hard for people to rehearse if they got a family or they live in an apartment and they can't be loud with drums and the bass, and so you can kind of cater to that. And like I said, we have songwriting sessions with other artists, a bonfire out in the backyard, and we sit around the bonfire when it's weather permitting, and we try to record that and do some live stuff with that too. So bonfire sessions, and so maybe we can do one of those when it gets a little cooler.
Hey, that's why I got the camera for. We can get that thing and go live with it.
Justin and Taylor and my son and Ivan and some of the local artists that are really passionate about that, write their own music and come out here, and we synergize together, and instead of just having one artist, we'll have 4 or 5 artists, and we go around in a circle and sing and play guitar, and we sing harmonies or maybe do rhythm for whoever else is doing their thing, and so we try to help you out each other, kind of like it was in in San Francisco in the Haight-Ashbury days with the Grateful Dead. A lot of these artists, that I don't even know if a lot of people know that, but a lot of these successful artists all lived on the same street, and they got famous together.
Wow! Yeah.
And so they would, Joan Baez, and I forget some of these artists, but you've heard them on the radio.
Yeah.
But they listened to each other. They wrote with each other. There was a lot of synergy. It wasn't a lot of times. What I miss is there's a lot of egos in younger artists these days, and it'd be hard, which I've been trying to do, is to put together a band like the Beatles and the Eagles, to where you have 3 to 4 5 singers in one band that could be lead singers like the Eagles were,
Yeah.
you know, and the Beatles, you know, to where they could, two lead singers could sing a song from front to end. Not one person has to be the harmony, you know, one person has to be the lead singer. But it's hard for singers these days to want to share the stage with somebody who's just as good as them. It's like,
They
I'm the singer.
want one front man.
Yeah, and to where I think, you know, and if you listen to the Eagles, those 3/4 harmonies, which gave them their signature, that's why they became so big.
Yeah.
And the Eagles and the Everly Brothers and
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you don't see that a lot today. And I'm looking for a young act that is willing to do that. You know, so,
You really don't get a lot of that really with any like the bands right now. It's not a common thing. Well, what I gotta ask you, since we're talking about all that, what is your favorite genre of music?
That's changed over the years. I really like singer-songwriter stuff because I think the lyrics are important.
Yeah.
My favorite overall band is the Beatles, and if you're a Beatles fan, you know why, because they, with over 1,500 songs, they pretty much started all the genres. You know, I mean, they did, you know, playing songs, recorded them on their drum cases, to Eleanor Rigby, where you just got, you know, cello, you know, there's no guitar, there's no bass, there's no drums, and just vocals, and to Helter Skelter, which was probably the first heavy metal song. They were screaming and going crazy, to pop songs, to blues, to gospel, to jazz. You know, they pretty much,
they transitioned.
They did so many, and their songs were beautiful because they told stories. Nowadays, nobody can tell a story unless it's about themselves. Oh, my girlfriend broke up with me. Oh, I'm trying to pick up a girl. I mean, you got songs like I said, Eleanor, sort to Strawberry Fields, you know, to you know, Rocky Raccoon, you know, just songs that weren't about themselves.
So they painted a picture. Then that's okay. So they can kind of paint a picture in your head. So who was the most recent band, do you think, that, you know, could actually create stories?
I would probably say there's probably some underground band that's not on the radio.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I've had anybody that I know that would, you know, be able to create that sound. But when I was younger, I was
like
really
Alice in Chains, maybe.
They were really amazing songwriters, like them, and liked the band a lot.
Yeah.
But they did have a sound, and they didn't really, you know, stray from it to where. I think maybe a band called Wilco, maybe, I think, would do something like that, to where one song, you know, the band Radiohead can kind of do that a little bit.
Radiohead, okay.
Yeah, to where one song is keyboards and you know, eccentric, and one song is, you know, has clean guitar. One song has, you know, dirty guitar. One song is just maybe like just voices and percussion. Just a band who experiments, that realizes that let's just write songs and try to be unique with our songs. And if we have an a cappella song, you know, to a song that's heavy, to a song that's, you know, keyboard driven, to a song that, you know, maybe is pop, to a song that's heavy, to a song that's political, to a love song, to maybe a country, to a jazz, to just experiment with songwriting and say we have to have our songs all be in this genre, because that's what the radio company, which they have told me back in the days when we were trying to get record labels, is that they need to know where to put you in the record store, so they have to put a label on you. Oh, you're this kind of music.
Okay, so the GoPro camera battery died on me. So, well, actually the SD card got full. I have to get a bigger one. It's only like 16 gigs. So we're fishing this for my phone. But Jeff, it's been a great interview. I hope a lot of people listen to this if they're thinking about getting into music or they've got a passion with music. And, you know, go check out Jeff. His Facebook page is, what is it right now, actually, for Mood?
I have Within Studios, also have Mood and Jeff Holiska. You can go there and friend me, whatever you want to get a hold of me. And but just ask around, and hopefully some of the musicians in town, somebody will know me and whatnot. So, and I guess my advice to anybody who's getting into music is to, I think, do it for the right reasons. If you're doing it for money, then I don't know if that's the best thing to do. But if you have a passion and you want to be positive and reach people, because music can really heal,